Annmarie, I want to start off with you. That call tomorrow, how critical is it between the presidents of China and the United States? What is the objective here for Joe Biden and his team?
Well, the objective will be very similar to Jake Sullivan's meeting with China's top diplomat in Rome this week, and that's twofold. One, it's to put pressure on Beijing to influence President Putin and to potentially stop this war. And then the second is to make sure China is aware that they need to abide by the sanctions regime set up forth by the United States and by others around the world, that they are going to be the ones that potentially could come in the crossfires and the crosshairs of all of this if they decide to do business with Russia. Now, what we do know about President Putin and Xi Jinping is that earlier in February, they have declared a new level of their friendship, a quote, no limits. And as President Putin is incredibly more isolated, it is Xi Jinping that he's looking to. So this is where America thinks they could potentially influence President Putin's calculus by bringing Xi Jinping on board. It's going to be a very important meeting tomorrow.
Annmarie, what is the speculation as to how President Biden can bring Xi Jinping on board? Are we going to talk about trade? Will they talk about sort of the economic connections between our two countries? What could he bring to that meeting?
It's a great question. I think what's very obvious to the world is that China obviously looks out for China. And what you have between Russia and China is very much so a lot of trade that gets done. But remember, Russia's the junior partner. And even though trade between Moscow and Beijing is at new all-time highs, it dwarfs what China is able to trade and the money they make from the European Union and the United States. So when you're talking about trade or potentially China being cut off from access to U.S. trade or technology, Beijing's going to want to listen.
Talking of wanting to listen, we need to listen now to John Kirby, the U.S. Defense Secretary, Press Secretary, speaking a little bit earlier on to Maria today. I think it's really worth paying attention to what he has to say. So let's listen in.
They're using their superior knowledge of the terrain and their own geography, as well as their nimble behavior in terms of using these systems they're getting quite effectively. And they have essentially stalled the Russian advance.
Annmarie, we heard from the president yesterday. We're likely to see progress today in Washington on Capitol Hill in terms of providing assistance to the Ukrainian forces. What do we know about that assistance and the level of sophistication of the weapons that are now being provided?
Well, President Zelensky really was imploring Congress yesterday to do more when it came to this. And he said, if a no-fly zone is too much to ask, at least send us what we need, i.e. those jets coming from Poland. The United States has not gone that far, but they are sending 100 drones. Now, these drones can be incredibly useful to the Ukrainian army and military that is trying to stop what is going on with the Russians. And what President Zelensky has said, in order to win this or to stop this Russian aggression, which Ukrainian defense officials talk about the fact that infrastructure continues to be bombed, civilian cities continue to be bombed, even as they are trying to make corridors to evacuate individuals on humanitarian fronts, that is not abating. And they need the skies to be closed. But potentially, these drones coming from the United States that are incredibly sophisticated can help in their effort.